So we all know, as kids, whenever we're scared, we try to tell ourselves that ghosts aren't real, that we're all just being irrational. But sometimes, something happens that you just can't explain. This is the story for the one night that happened to me. This was about when I was 10 or 11, I'd like to say. It was probably somewhere around 2:33 a.m. in the morning. I was watching this show on Netflix called Is It Real? And basically in this show, they would try to debunk legends like Bigfoot, ghosts, etc. Well, for some reason, I decided to watch the ghost one. And I remember this specific episode was about poltergeists and two specific hauntings. I don't remember the hauntings, but I do remember what it was about. The poltergeists. I eventually got tired and decided to turn it off. I remember using my Wii to watch Netflix. I turned off the Wii, turned off my TV, and laid down and tried to doze off. I was in a bunk bed. My little brother, Richard, was at the top bunk because I had a problem with moving in my sleep, and I always had an irrational fear that I would fall off even though there was railings. So I'm sitting on the bottom bunk, and while I'm sitting there, I start thinking. I start creeping myself out with these thoughts, thinking that there's someone watching me, that I'm not alone. Well, I probably sat there, laying down for about 15 minutes, I'd like to say. And then I started to feel what felt like vibrations coming throughout my bed. This freaked me out a little bit, but my little child mind kind of played it off, made some stupid excuse for it. Eventually, the vibrations became more severe, and it really started freaking me out. And when I was about to get up, the bed started shaking very, very slightly. I eventually came to terms with the fact that it was probably just my little brother Richard adjusting up inside of his bed at the top bunk. I poked my head up to see what he was doing, tell him to shut up and go to bed. But he was dead asleep. I went back under my covers. I started to freak out. I didn't know what was happening. The bed began to shake more violently as time went on. The violent shaking got to the point where it felt like some grown man was shaking my bed as hard as he could. But for some reason there wasn't any sound. My bed usually creaked so much at the slightest movements, but there was no sound. In fact, I couldn't hear anything. It was like someone was covering my ears with their hands. I tried to scream out for help, but I couldn't hear my own voice. I eventually started crying, coming to terms that I guess this is how I was going to die, which sounds bleak for a 10-year-old or 11-year-old mind, but I really, honest to God, thought that was going to be the end for me. I started screaming out for my mom, but not being able to hear my own voice. Eventually, the door shot open. The bed, it was like it was never shaking in the first place. My mom was wondering what was going on and why I was screaming. I told her my bed was shaking, and I don't know what was going on, and I think that there was a monster in my room. My mom didn't believe me, obviously because when she walked in, the bed was fine. Brother was still dead asleep. She began to tell me if the bed was shaking, then your brother obviously would have woken up. But I know what I saw, and I know I wasn't dreaming. I wasn't hallucinating, and it wasn't sleep paralysis. I was wide awake, witnessing every moment of this. Now, after this night, I never slept inside of that room ever again. I refused to. I only stayed there in the day. After it would reach probably about 8 o'clock p.m., I would go to my mom's room and fall asleep there. I was terrified of my room. In fact, staying alone in that house ever gave me just the weirdest vibes. I never felt like I was truly alone no matter where I was, that there was always someone watching me. I never really got over this, and after that night, every single time I hear a creak or a bang or something, there's always in the back of my mind that it could be this same ghost. Now, for a while, every single time I've gone to a different place, I feel as if I am truly never safe. And I feel like I've come up with a good explanation to why. You see, I learned history on the house, and there had been deaths inside of the house. Natural causes, of course, nothing gruesome. Just a couple that used to live there died of natural causes. At least, I think it was the husband. I think the wife... now I think about it, I don't remember what happened to the wife. But that's besides the point. There was a death in the house. My mom told me this is when I was a little older and we were out of this house. I remember one night, and still inside of the same city, which was Sterling, Virginia, I had a dream about this incident, except I wasn't at that house. Well, it seemed similar, but not really. It just seemed different. The rooms looked different. But I was in the same bed, and the same thing happened inside of my dream. When I awoke, I was covered in sweat, tears coming out of my eyes. At this point, this dream occurred for so many years of my life and still happens to me to this day. I feel like whatever was in that house really did not like me and targeted me in particular. And I feel like it has followed me throughout all of my travels. I never really do feel truly alone, and I don't know if I'll ever be alone. I'm beginning to think that I should seek out additional help from a priest or such, maybe get blessed or something. But I don't really feel like my life is in danger, because I feel like if it could have done anything to me, it would have done something by now. And honestly, while I record this, I feel like there's something watching me from behind. But I know if I look behind me, there will be nothing there. Who knows? Maybe one day, it'll stop toying with me. I don't know. Well, this is a little bit of a change of what I normally do. It's usually some, screwed up story, but I've always been a big believer of ghosts after this incident. So, if you're skeptical, you don't think my story is true, that's alright. I believe what I believe, and I've experienced what I've experienced. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.